Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this session, and in this video we are going to discuss about Vlookup function. It is an important function that is frequently used. So I will be uploading more videos on this function, but let's consider an example to understand that's how this function works, right? So let's say I'm interested in knowing that whether this one that is present in I6 cell, whether it exists in this particular column or not, right? So it exists in this column as you can see, but let's say we want to know whether this exists or not in the first column. One exists in the first column, that is 1 2 3 4, this particular column or not. So we'll be using VLOOKUP function for that. So I will simply double click here on this cell, that is J6, and then equal to, because it is it's a formula, VLOOKUP function, it's a formula that we are going to use. So it always starts with an equal to sign, and then I'll type VLOOKUP. So the moment you will type two characters, it will show you that there is a function by the name VLOOKUP. Then simply press the tab key and this function opens. Now, since I'm interested in searching for this particular value, that is 1, which is present in I6 cell. So I will now simply click here on I6 cell, then comma. You are now required to provide the array where this value has to be looked or searched for. You can either select this particular column, that is 1 2 3 4, or you can select this entire range that you can see in red, because as per the property of this VLOOKUP function, it will by default search in the first column of the range that you have selected. So that's why I can select this entire range, then comma, then you are required to provide the index number of the column that you want in the output. So if let's say I want the output from the first column, so then I'll simply type 1 and then comma. Now if you want an approximate match, you can specify true. If you want an exact match, you can either write false or 0. So I'll write 0 and I'll close this. So you can see that since this one exists in this particular range, in the first column of this range, so you can see that 1 is the outcome. Now, if let's say I will click here on J6 cell, and let's say I move my cursor here such that I see this plus icon, and if I'll double click here on this plus icon, then you can see that the output is #NA. It means that it says that this one exists in the first column of this range, but this one does not exist in the first column of this range. So how can this happen? You can see that this and this, both of them are same one. And here we have 2. 2 also exists in this range. 3 also exists. 6 does not exist, that's fine. But other numbers do exist in this range, in the first column of this range. So we should get some output, right? We should get these numbers only as the output. Why is it the case that we are getting #NA here, right? It means that this value is not present in the first column of the selected range. So let's try to figure out that what's the problem. So if I will click here on J6 cell, then you can see that E6 to E9 is the range where the value was looked for. In the first column basically of this range, the value was looked for. That is this one, which is present in I6 cell. Now, the moment I'll click here on this cell, here we can change the range, sorry. All right. So the moment I'll click here on this cell, that is the J7 cell, when we move down or come down to J7 cell from J6 cell, you can see that the value that was looked for is present in I7, right? So that's the right thing. The value that was looked for, it should be present in I7. And then the range where it was looked for is this range, that is E7 to F10. So this range also shifted down where the value was looked for. Since this range also shifted down, so you can see that this 1 and A were ignored. The first row was ignored. And that's why it will give you the output as #NA. So that's the reason that we want our range where the values are being looked or searched for to be fixed. We want that range to be fixed. So we will have to fix it, right? We will have to freeze it. So that will definitely solve the purpose. So let's see how to write the formula where we will fix or freeze the range. So now I will click here on this K6 cell and I'll write this VLOOKUP formula again. So I'll double click, then equal to, then VLOOKUP, tab key, and then your lookup value. So this is the lookup value, the value that we want to look for. We want to look for this value in the first column of this particular range, but this time we will freeze it. So once you have selected this range, press F4, then comma. Since I want the first column of the selected range to be in the output, so I'll write 1, comma, since I want an exact match, so 0, and close the bracket. That's it. And now when I'll click here on this cell, that is K6, and move the cursor such that you see this plus icon, and then double click. Now you will see that it shows the right output. This one exists in the first column of this range, so it shows you output as 1. This 2 exists, so output 2, 3, so 3, 3, so 3. 6 does not exist in the first column of this particular range, so hash NA, that's right. Fine. So that's the thing. Now let's say I do not want the first column of the selected range to be the output, but I want the second range of the selected cell to be the output. So I can do that as well. So again, equal to Vlookup tab key. This is the value that we want to look for. We want to look for this value in the first column of this particular range that you can see in red. Freeze it, comma, since I want the second column to be the output, so I'll write 2, comma, and I want exact match, so 0, bracket close. So now you can see that corresponding to this one, since A exists in the second column, so this one was looked for in the first column of this range, and corresponding to the match that it found, the output was given from the second column. So here we have A. Now move your cursor such that you get to see this plus icon and double click. So now you can see that corresponding to this one, A is there, so A is here. 2, we have B, so 2, B. For 3, we have C, so C. For this 3, we have C, so C. And for 6, we are not having 6 in this first column of the range that we have selected. So that's why here you can see hash NA. Right, so I hope this video was helpful and it gave you some understanding of that how VLOOKUP function can be used and what are its properties. I'll be coming up with more videos and we'll discuss about more questions on this function, right? So this is an important function and it is frequently used. So I hope this video was helpful. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye.